The sound came from the kitchen. It was soft at first, a small, weak cry. The maid, Miss Edna, froze as she washed the dishes. Her yellow gloves were wet and dripping, but her ears were sharp. There it was again, a tiny, painful cry. She turned quickly and followed the sound. Her heart began to beat faster. On the marble counter, lying on a soft towel, was the baby. But this was no ordinary baby. His skin was pale and wrinkled like paper. His arms were too thin. His eyes were half closed, and he looked like he hadn't eaten in days. Miss Edna gasped. The baby looked like he was fading away, like a candle about to go out. Just then, the door burst open. Mr. Blake, the baby's father, rushed in. He wore a navy blue suit and shiny black shoes. His hands flew to his face when he saw the baby. "No, no, not again," he whispered. "Please, God, not my son." Mr. Blake was a millionaire. He owned hotels, cars, even a private jet. But today, all the money in the world couldn't help him. Doctors had tried everything. Specialists from 3 different countries had visited the house. They had names no one could pronounce and machines that beeped all night. But still, the baby got weaker. Everyone in the house had lost hope. Everyone except Miss Edna. She walked closer to the child. Her eyes were soft but serious. She placed one hand gently on his chest. The baby let out a tiny breath and then went still. Mr. Blake watched, shaking. "What are you doing?" he asked. Miss Edna didn't answer. Instead, she closed her eyes and began to whisper words in a language no one in that house had ever heard before. Something old, something powerful. And just like that, the baby's fingers twitched. Something was beginning. Something no doctor could explain. Miss Edna's lips moved like they were singing, but no sound came out. Her eyes were closed, her hands still resting on the baby's chest. Mr. Blake stared in shock. "What are you doing to my son?" he asked again, louder this time. But Miss Edna didn't stop. She whispered those strange words again, soft, gentle, like the wind blowing through trees. And then it happened. The baby let out a louder cry. His fingers moved again, then his legs. His little chest rose, and for the first time in days, he let out a full, strong breath. "Jacob!" Mr. Blake cried, running over. "He moved! He really moved!" Miss Edna finally opened her eyes. "I told you," she said quietly. "The child is not sick. He is hungry, but not just for food." Mr. Blake was confused. "What do you mean?" "He has the best doctors, the best milk, the best care." Miss Edna looked down at baby Jacob and smiled softly. "This child needs love," she said. "He needs touch. He needs to be held, sung to, rocked. He needs a heartbeat close to his own." Mr. Blake sat down slowly, his eyes filled with tears. "I've been so busy with work, I didn't even know," he whispered. "I thought money could fix anything." Miss Edna took off her gloves and gently lifted Jacob into her arms. He stopped crying and rested his head against her chest. "He knows love," she said. "That's why he responded." Mr. Blake looked at Miss Edna like he was seeing her for the first time. "Who are you?" he asked. Miss Edna looked up at him, her eyes deep and calm. "I am a maid," she said. "But I was also a mother, a long time ago." And just like that, a new story began. The next morning, the house was quiet. For the first time in weeks, baby Jacob slept peacefully, his tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. Miss Edna sat beside his crib, humming a soft tune. In the hallway, Mr. Blake stood still, watching them through the half-open door. He held something in his hand, a photo frame, old and cracked. The glass was broken, and inside was a picture of a woman and a little girl. The woman looked just like Miss Edna. The girl looked just like Emma, his late wife. Mr. Blake walked in slowly. "Is this you?" he asked, holding up the picture. Miss Edna looked at it, then nodded. "That was me and my daughter, Hope," she said quietly. "What happened to her?" Mr. Blake asked. Miss Edna's eyes grew distant, filled with pain. "She got sick, very sick," she whispered. "There were no doctors, no nurses, just me and her." Mr. Blake's face softened. "You lost her?" Miss Edna nodded, but said nothing else. The room felt heavy with silence. Then Jacob stirred in his sleep, and Miss Edna gently touched his back. He calmed right away. "I couldn't save my own child," she said, her voice breaking for the first time. "But I will save this one." Mr. Blake sat down on the edge of the bed. "I thought I could fix everything with money," he said. "But I've never felt so helpless." Miss Edna looked at him kindly. "Love doesn't cost money," she said, "but it does take time, patience, and presence." Mr. Blake looked down, ashamed. "I never learned how to be a father," he admitted. Miss Edna reached out and placed Jacob into his arms. "Then it's time to start learning," she said. "He's still here. You still have a chance." Mr. Blake looked down at his son. For the first time, he smiled. Mr. Blake had never held his son like this before. Jacob's tiny body felt so fragile in his arms, but also so warm, so alive. For the first time, he felt the beat of his child's heart against his own. Miss Edna watched quietly from the corner. She said nothing, but her eyes were full of peace. "I don't know what I'm doing," Mr. Blake said softly. "I've been running my whole life, building companies, flying city to city. I was never home for Jacob or for Emma." At the sound of his late wife's name, his voice cracked. "She always said I needed to slow down," he whispered. "I didn't listen. I thought I had forever." Jacob stirred in his arms, his fingers wrapping around Mr. Blake's finger. "I don't want to fail him too," he said, blinking back tears. Miss Edna stood and walked over. "Then don't," she said gently. "You can start again, right now." He looked up at her. "How do I fix everything?" "You don't have to fix everything," she replied. "You just have to love him, be there, feed him, talk to him, hold him when he cries. That's what a baby needs." Mr. Blake nodded slowly. Then, to Miss Edna's surprise, he said, "Will you stay?" She raised an eyebrow. "As a maid?" "No," he said. "As his family. If you want to. You saved his life. You saved mine too." Miss Edna's lips trembled. "I lost my daughter, but maybe this is what I was meant for." That night, for the first time, Mr. Blake sat beside the crib and read Jacob a story. Miss Edna cooked a warm dinner. Laughter filled the house like music. The mansion, once cold and quiet, began to feel like a home. But one more surprise was still waiting. Spring came early that year. The trees outside the mansion bloomed with soft pink flowers, and the sun shined through the tall windows, filling the rooms with golden light. Inside the nursery, baby Jacob was laughing, really laughing. He kicked his legs in the air and clapped his hands while Miss Edna made funny faces. His cheeks were round again. His skin was healthy. He no longer looked like the fragile baby lying on a cold counter. He was full of life. Mr. Blake stood in the doorway, smiling. He held a bottle in one hand and a soft teddy bear in the other. "Good morning, my boy," he said, walking over and picking up Jacob. Jacob giggled and pulled at his tie. "You're too young for business talk," Mr. Blake chuckled, "but you're the best boss I've ever had." Miss Edna smiled warmly. She had seen a full miracle not just in Jacob, but in Mr. Blake too. He had changed. He worked less. He stayed home more. He made pancakes on Saturdays, even if they came out burned. And he sang lullabies off-key, but with love. One morning, as they sat in the garden, Mr. Blake turned to Miss Edna and said, "You're not just the woman who saved my son. You saved me. You're part of this family now." Miss Edna's eyes filled with tears. She thought of her daughter, Hope. Somehow, in this house, her heart was healing. "I think I was meant to find you both," she whispered. Years later, Jacob grew into a strong, kind boy. On his first day of school, he held both of their hands, his father's on one side, Miss Edna's on the other. 3 hearts, once broken, now whole. Because love, real love, doesn't care about money, color, or titles. It just shows up and stays.